Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Art Burns, and I'm excited to be here with you on this Showing Up to Your Life podcast and YouTube channel, and I really am happy and excited to be here with you today. So, the first thing I want to tell you about today is this amazing group that I'm running, that I'm part of. I shouldn't even say I'm running it because, it's really such a, when we enter into a community of any kind, it's sort of equal parts, so even though I am the one who's leading the meetings, I feel very much just part of the whole community. And what I'm talking about is the learning to surf meetings and group meditations that I do. I host and guide the meditation every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. in the Mountain Time Zone, which is 9 p.m. on the East Coast, 6 p.m. on the West Coast. So I've lived out here for 4 years from the East Coast, and I'm still confused by that. But anyway, and then my colleague and friend Adam Asdell, he runs the meetings that we have on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 a.m. on the East Coast, and 10 a.m. or 8 a.m. rather on the West Coast. And you see, it's always confusing for me. but I just want to, so we started this whole project. We have a podcast, and we have we do the Adam and Art Hour, where we just kind of sort of have a chat on a podcast, which I've gotten a lot of great feedback from. We also do traditional podcasts where we interview other people. I have another interview coming up today I'm really excited about, but we also do these group meetings, right? And the group, and in addition to that, we're also doing a class, like an introduction to mindfulness class. And so all this stuff is like it's kind of, Adam and I kind of got together. I appeared on his podcast about 2 years ago. The funny thing is, we talk about it in this week's episode. We've never actually physically met. I was introduced to Adam through a common, a friend, actually a parent of one of my children's friends introduced us, and who works with Adam. And so, and it's just taken on a life of its own. And it's always been this conversation where we were talking about, like, because Adam is a Buddhist, and he's a Buddhist practitioner, a Buddhist teacher. He's got such passion about Buddhism. He loves it. And it's this, just beautiful, energy that he has about it, whereas myself, I'm not a Buddhist. I love a lot of the teachings of the Buddha, and I love many of these books you see behind me here are of Buddhists, written by Buddhist monks and about Buddhism, and I love it. I think it's a beautiful religion, as many religions are, but I don't consider myself a practitioner of Buddhism. I consider myself a science-based practitioner of mindfulness, right? But there's a lot of crossover, and that's where, even a couple of years ago, Adam and I were talking about, let's get that crossover, and let's talk in that space, and let's see what grows out of that space. And this is what's growing out of it. And so I want to tell you about is that, so each of these meetings, it's got a very standard kind of format that we do, right? We do first, everybody kind of settles in. The first 5 minutes is just, saying hi to everybody, just like you would if people were walking into a room, just, hey, thanks for being here. It's great to see you, that kind of thing. And then we do meditation, right? The meditation can be 20 minutes to 30 minutes long, somewhere about that. And then after the meditation, we open up to a discussion. It's not necessarily a teaching kind of thing. Generally speaking, the host, either myself or Adam, will kind of, make a statement of some sort, a couple of sentences that kind of tie into whatever we did in the meditation. Sort of. It's very loosely structured in that sense. And then we kind of, make that statement and just kind of let the group start the discussion, or continue the discussion. And I have to tell you, some of these discussions are just amazing. They really, really are. And we record them and we post them to the podcast. So I will put a link to the podcast in the description here so you can hear what happens in these meetings. You can hear the meditation as well as the discussion. And it's really just absolutely awesome. And then the other thing is, again, we do a course. And we're actually going to do a revolving, series of courses. So this 6 weeks is the introduction to mindfulness. I don't know what the next one's going to be, but perhaps it might be something to do with compassion, or maybe it will be more of a Buddhist kind of thing that Adam will teach. The point is, though, that this is a resource, and I want all of you to know about this resource, okay? Because, a lot of times, I do this obviously out of the excitement and enthusiasm of my heart. I do this. I mean, I have people who support me via Patreon, and that's beautiful, and I'm very grateful for that. But I do these videos just because I love doing these videos, and I love the impact that it has on people out there, right? But now there's another step that people can take, right? But until now, that other step has been, to a one-on-one coaching, right? And so to go from this, kind of, just a series of videos and podcasts into one-on-one coaching, something that has no cost, to something that has, what some people might consider kind of a high cost. I mean, I think, compared to other coaches, it's not high, that's for sure. But certainly, I heard a quote the other day that was really impactful. I actually read it one place and then somebody sent it to me separately. So it's like one of those things like, okay, I need to pay attention to this. But the quote said, I'm going to paraphrase, that everybody asks about how much the book or the program or the retreat, everybody asks how much that stuff costs, but nobody ever asks the cost of staying in the same place for another year. Right. And that's kind of the thing, when you're looking at the cost of coaching and stuff, it's an investment in yourself. That's what it is. And it's when you weigh out, the benefits that you get for the investment, I mean, it's like a no-brainer. I mean, it's a very sound investment. And so, but still, I mean, that doesn't change the fact that, money is money. And especially now with, a lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of people have been cut back. A lot of people are, in financial, difficulty right now. And so the beautiful thing about this is that the everything we do in the Learning to Surf program, the classes, the meetups, the podcasts, all of it is based on donation, right? And so, that donation could be anything from zero to whatever, you're able to afford. And so I tell you this because this is a kind of middle ground for you. And I just want you to know that that's available to you. Okay. So if you feel like, I would love to get into a more structured, instructional kind of thing with art, because I love all the things that he talks about, but I just can't figure out how to get it into my life. I can't figure out how to, make it happen. Right. Well, but yet I also can't, maybe I don't want to or can't afford or whatever. There's some reason why a one-on-one situation is not for me either. Well, here's another option. All right. And I tell you this today specifically because on Saturday morning, we're doing actually an encore performance. We had some technical issues on Monday when I did my first week of the 6-week introduction to mindfulness course. And due to the technical difficulties, a few people weren't able to get in. So we're running that one again. So I'm going to give that class again this Saturday morning after the meetup. So if you're interested in that, there's still time to get into this particular course. And if not, in 6 weeks, we're going to offer another one. So you'll start hearing about that in the next few weeks. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks. So I'll start talking about what the next one's going to be. But right now, I just want you to know that that's an option for you. Okay. So I'm going to put the link to sign up for that in the comments as well. All right. And I'll put the Saturday meetup as well. I'll put them all in there. All the links, they'll be in there for you. And so will the link for get in touch with me to see about one-on-one coaching or to just ask whatever question. Like I always offer that first, that 45 minutes, that's always available to you. Okay. And that's, that there's never a cost to that. There's no donation. There's nothing. So if you just want to call and ask a couple of questions or express something or figure something out or work something out, that's always available to you. Okay. And I'll put that link in the description as well. However, I've said this before and I want to say it again, that option, I can't guarantee that's going to be here forever, right? Because there is a certain point, like I could show you my calendar that is it's becoming just laughable how busy it is. I mean, you can see here that like it's all day, so I mean, these little holes of white, that's the only times that I have to for people to book these these appointments. So again, it's becoming more and more scarce. So it's not by my own choice, right? But it is a reality that it could be that that's not going to be here forever. That option for you. Okay, so so again, that's all the more reason why the learning to surf is something that maybe is a good fit for some of the people out there. So I just wanted to let you know that's there. Okay, and again, drop into the meditation and see how it feels. Maybe you really love it. Maybe you don't, and that's cool too. But I do highly recommend that you check it out, because it's really, as you can hear from the discussion, if you go on the podcast and listen to any of these meetings every week, the discussions are just so amazing, so strong, and so engaged, and so just beautiful. And so I really, again, I invite you. It's an open invitation. It's never going to be rescinded, and there's never any necessary cost to that. Okay, if you feel moved to donate, we are grateful for the donation. We definitely have some costs involved with all this. It's a couple $100s a month or whatever. So that's coming out of our pockets, and so donations would be very, very highly appreciated, but never necessary. Okay, so if you're in a place where, and there's no questions asked, like you don't have to, it's not like we pass a hat around and everybody's going to see you not put anything in there. It's all done very behind, it's nothing, nobody would ever know. All right, and so please don't feel uncomfortable about it, don't feel weird about it. It's all good. All right. And so I'm saying that because I'm really excited to have this opportunity, because sometimes, I get on a call with somebody and, they're very coachable. They got, they know what they need, and their needs are exactly fitting with the work that I do. And I know I can help them and everything's amazing. And then we realize that, well, it's just not financially doable. And even like I've been known to teach people for free in those situations. But again, you see my schedule, it's just not feasible at this point. So now I have this other thing, and I'm just so excited. So for anyone who is in that position, there's always something available to you. Okay. So I'm really just excited about that. I'm also excited to share with you today what I'm going to talk about. This is really, really fun and exciting. So I have a couple of kids, as I've talked about here, right? And my kids are my biggest fans. And it's so just beautiful and touching and sweet and lovely. And so for my birthday, which was about a little bit more than a month ago, my son, who is 9 years old, he went to the store with his mom and just picked out some birthday stuff. And so what he got me was this mug. It's full now, so I got to be careful here. But you can see what it says. And for all of you listening on the podcast, what this cup says, it's so beautiful. It says, "Don't hurry, be happy." And better yet, it comes with, now I'm using a tea bag because I have a stash of all these tea bags, so I gotta go through them. But as soon as I'm through them, I'm gonna buy some loose teas, because this particular mug came with this little guy. And again, for all of you who are listening, I'm holding up a little silicone sloth, right? But this sloth, he comes apart, and you can put some tea leaves in his bottom half. You close him back up, and then he hangs on the inside of the cup to brew the tea for you. I mean, is that just sweet or what? And my kids, every time my kids ask, and kids always ask this kind of stuff, they say, "Well, what's your favorite animal?" And every time, without fail, my favorite animal is a sloth, and because they're very, they kind of are very mindful animals, right? They're so deliberate, and they're so, they're moving very slowly, but they're moving in a very, sort of conscious and deliberate and intentional way, right? And which is something you can only do when you slow down a little bit, right? Now, and I offer that to you as just sort of, there's not necessarily, I mean, there are practices that will help to instill this. And it's actually a practice that I go through with every single client that I ever teach, right? No matter who you are, no matter what it is you're looking to do, no matter why you came to work with me, you're going to do this practice, right? And the practice is to cultivate a pause. Right. And I've talked about this here in the podcast before. But pausing is something that is so very valuable, and something that we hardly ever do. right? We live in a world now where everything is so instant, right? I mean, you can, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you can pretty much get anything, do anything, I mean, within reason, obviously, especially with the pandemic and stuff. But like just the fact that, at 2 o'clock in the morning, you can go on Amazon and buy something, and it'll be delivered like in 2 days, like we've, and also we have like 24-hour news cycles, so if you turn on CNN at 2 o'clock in the morning, you're seeing kind of new stuff. You're seeing a new, a new program. I mean, obviously at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's probably a repeat, but the point is though, there's news shows on in the morning, in the late morning, early afternoon, evening, and late night, and they never used to be that way, right? When I grew up, you had a newspaper for the day, and you had the 5 o'clock news and the 11 o'clock news. Maybe something that was in 11 o'clock you didn't hear about at 5 o'clock, but normally that wasn't even the case. But now we're 24 hours, it's just all the time. And so the way that and of course, the phones, right? It's all just so instant. Like, you could get entertainment, you could get whatever it is that you're looking for just instantly, right? I mean, that's also something that it was never the case with me, right? Like I grew up with, I'll tell you, I grew up before cable boxes were even that prevalent, where you had just 3 stations or 4 stations that you could listen to or watch on the TV, right? And at a certain time at night that it was either the late movie, or it was just a color bar and all out, no signal, off air until tomorrow morning kind of thing. But now you can go on Netflix and dial up whatever movie you want at 3 o'clock in the morning if you're up, and so this is all this way of life that we've developed has created this very instantaneous sort of rush that we have, right? It feels very hurried. And one of the things and I talked about this, I think yesterday in the podcast, is that one of the things when I was dealing with high levels of stress personally, right? And I did. I mean, it was, my gosh, when I was stressed, I was so stressed, and I was more stressed than any human being should be, and any human being can be for any very long, right? And I was that guy who, I was 100 pounds overweight. I was drinking like a fish. I was smoking cigarettes. I was just really, really bad, right? And we're going back. I mean, this is, my daughter's now 12 years old. And so probably, a good, 10 years ago, still I was that way, right? And so one of the things that I always think, and when people ask me, or I give a presentation or something, and I'm talking about how, what the signs of my stress were, like how did stress manifest itself, I always mention the thing that comes to mind is always the fact that I felt like I never had enough time. No matter what was going on, even on vacation, I felt like there was never enough time. I always had to rush. I always had to hurry, 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 hurry. And lo and behold, as my sloth friend will tell you, I was not happy then, right? That was not a happy time for me. And now we've talked about what happiness is, and of course, the stress response and the emotions that come through the stress response, because again, as your body becomes more agitated, your thoughts and your emotions are going to align with that. It's not like you can be in this stress response and be completely hyper aroused emotionally and in the sympathetic nervous system of your body, and you're thinking about rainbows and unicorns and happy thing. It doesn't work that way, right? When you're in that stress response, your body feels as though it's under attack. And so everything that happens in that state is going to feed that stress response and going to rev it up, rev it up, rev it up until you feel as though you're no longer in danger. And with somebody with chronic stress, that point is never, right? Until you really do something like a mindfulness course or something to interrupt and really fundamentally change what you're doing, right? So anyway, it's a product of our society, right? And it's also a product of stress, right? This feeling of being in a hurry, right? And it's also, and incidentally, 77% of American adults live with chronic stress, which means that almost 8 out of every 10 people that you meet, right, 8 out of 10 are suffering with feeling like they're in a hurry and there's no time, and it's just, and they're suffering. Right. And so with that many people around us, right. I mean, it's clear that this is something that should be addressed, because people are suffering. People are dying from this. And that's no exaggeration, right? Dr. Gabor Mate wrote a whole book about how stress is a killer. And he's not the only one, of course. Dr. Robert Zapolsky is somebody who had a wonderful documentary on PBS many years ago called Stress, the Silent Killer, I believe it's called. And literally many doctors now will tell you that stress, even genetically oriented diseases like certain cancers that run in your family, right? Even those are subject to the stress in your body. And essentially every disease that you can encounter is going to be facilitated by high levels of stress. Like, that's what the doctors are telling us now, right? And so it's very, very clear that this is the case. Now, of course, when we say don't hurry, be happy, right? Now, it's there's a couple of different ways that you can look at hurrying, right? Because one thing that I want to be very clear about, right, is that you can be moving quickly and you can be, hurrying and still be mindful. It's not impossible. Right. But the thing is, though, that when we're mindful, we're hurrying only when we need to hurry. Right. We're not hurrying just as a matter of the automatic way that we do things. And that's the difference. Right. Because back, and again, when almost 8 out of every 10 people that you meet are living with chronic stress, then you can bet that most of those people are just hurrying because they feel like that's just what needs to be done, or not even that. They don't even feel like that's what needs to be done. They just don't even question it. They just hurry. Right. And when we do that, and as I talked about last in yesterday's episode, when I was in that stress, for decades, I was in that place, right? And not only did I feel like there was never enough time, the other aspect of my life back then, the other aspect of my experience in life was that I felt like I just had to get through. Right? Like every day, it was just, the challenge is just to get through the day, right? Like that's all that I was concerned with. And what that does then is it creates a mindset or sort of, a worldview of just survival. Like you just, like, when you feel like I just got to get through this day, well, then you're living in survival mode, and that's going to increase the stress. That's going to reinforce the stress response that your body's already going through. So you're really just feeding this negative aspect, this dangerously unhealthy aspect of our body, right? By engaging in that. And so what I say then is that mindfulness, what mindfulness is going to allow us to do is to, again, recognize those times where, like right now, I have an appointment coming up in about 25 minutes. And so or 35 minutes rather. And so I need to get this done, right? Like, I can't wait to do this video. Otherwise, if I do, I have appointments. I'm not going to be able to get it done, right? So when, 20 minutes ago or 30 minutes ago, when I was preparing to start this video, I was in a bit of a hurry. I gotta, I don't have a lot of time to waste. I have to be efficient with my time right now. And there's a difference between hurry and being efficient with your time, right? But in the mindset, right? Like I was not in a hurry, right? But I was moving efficiently. If that makes sense. I hope it does make sense, because the difference is hurrying feels like out of control. Oh my gosh. I gotta go. Right. And sometimes I might even get into that position. Like if I'm late for a flight or something, some delay has caused me to be in a hurry. That could happen as well. Right. But what mindfulness allows us to do is mindfulness allows us to see when it is appropriate to be in that hurry. But it also tells us when it is appropriate to pause and to slow down and really experience this unfolding moment. this arising moment. I got digressed, which often happens. I'm sure you're used to it by now. But when I was talking about the pause, there's a really amazing quote that I like to reference when I talk about the pause, right? And what pausing means, right? The psychologist Viktor Frankl, who is he was actually a Holocaust survivor. He was a young, like 2-3 years old in a concentration camp. I'm pretty sure he was anyway. If not, his parents were. And so he became, in his adult life, he became a psychologist, a very famous psychologist at that. He has a number of amazing quotes. He's just one of those people who's just has a way of saying things in a succinct sentence or two that just like, wow, zap, And so you can look up, you can search Viktor Frankl, Victor with a K, Viktor, Frankl. That's how you spell his name. If you put that in the Google search bar or Ecosia search bar, you're gonna see like site after site after site, like 101 Viktor Frankl quotes, 80 Viktor Frankl quotes, 20 top Viktor Frankl quotes, and it's on and on and on. So check them out; they're amazing. But the one that really applies to what I'm talking about here, and that's really stayed with me ever since the very first time I read it, is Dr. Frankl says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. I probably butchered that in some way. It's a long quote, and I don't have it necessarily word for word committed to memory, but that's the gist of it, is that when something happens to us, right? When we hear something, we see something, we feel something, we get a sensory stimulus of any kind, right? There's a little space in between receiving that and responding to it, right? Now that space, again, in this high-paced world, and for all those people who are dealing with chronic stress, that space is almost not there, right? It is as small as it possibly can get, right? So when we cultivate mindfulness, right, through meditation practices, formal meditation practices, and informal meditation practices like cultivating an intentional pause, what we do is we start to create more space there. We widen that a little bit more with every practice we do, we widen that space a little bit more so that when we experience something, we become habitual in the way that we can process that thing before we respond. And then really what we're doing is we're responding instead of reacting. And that's the key, right? Like when we react, any time in your life that you've looked back and said, oh gosh, I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I hadn't said that. I wish I hadn't done that. I wish I hadn't eaten that. I wish I hadn't, whatever, I wish I hadn't driven. Whatever, all those things. Any time that you look back and you say to yourself like, gosh, I wish I hadn't do that. Almost every single instant, that's a reflection of your reacting. Right? Where something happened, you just boom, just unintentionally, unconsciously just reacted, right? And so when we cultivate a pause, right, which is just simply just taking a breath or two, it doesn't have to be, okay, I'll get back to you in 15 minutes. No. Seconds, we're talking about 10 seconds can make the difference between, 2 seconds can make the difference between a real consequential action on your part, right? Something's going to have serious consequences. It's going to pull you away from your well-being, away from your happiness, away from your family, away from the ability to show up to your life, right? It can be the difference between that and a smooth sailing, right? Which is a response. And so the way we cultivate the pause is just like any other practice. We set a timer a couple of times a day and we do it. And I have a specific practice I'd be happy to share with you on that if you're interested. And other than that, again, I just want to really emphasize the fact that I'm so super psyched about having this option for you. If you're looking to get into some more instructional kind of stuff and some more sort of group coaching, if you will, it's available to you. it's by donation. So it's really like whatever suits you. And so I would really enjoy having you in there. So again, the links will all be in the description. I appreciate you. I thank you again for watching. I thank you for listening. I really thank you for being there, and I mean that from the depth and most loving part of my heart. All right, everybody, have a great day. I'll be back again tomorrow with my sloth, and yeah, me and the sloth say thank you again, and we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.